Good evening. The Conejo Valley Unified School District Board of Education regular board meeting of March 18th, 2026 will please come to order. Pursuant to the Ralph M. Brown Act, this is a meeting of the Board of Education in public, and only items on the agenda will be discussed this evening. We invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The board is adjourning from closed session where the following items permitted by law was considered. Item 1B, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, D2. No readout is provided for this agenda item. Item 1C, public employee discipline, dismissal, or release pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. With regard to agenda item 1C, there is no announcement at this time pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.1, subdivision A5. Item 1D, conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code 54956.8. Agency negotiators, Dr. Victor Hayek. The discussion item is price in terms of payment regarding 2000 La Granada Drive, Thousand Oaks, California. Negotiating parties, CVUSD for the district, Kristen Walker from Aids Charter School. No readout is provided for this agenda item. And 1E, conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code 54956.8. Again, the agency negotiators, Dr. Victor Hayek. Discussion item is price in terms of payment regarding 1334 Calle Bougainvillea, Thousand Oaks, California. Negotiating partners, CVUSD, and Dr. Kelly Simon for Bridges Charter School. No readout is provided for this agenda item. I would like to welcome everyone to the meeting and make the following announcements. The board values your input on the important education matters we face. Therefore, the district is providing multiple opportunities for public participation. Public viewing is available through internet live stream on the CVUSD website. Please note the different opportunities to provide public or written comments to the board can be found on the main page of the board agenda. Members of the public wishing to submit a written comment had the option to email their comments to sfelman@conejousd.org by 3 p.m. today. Board members were provided with these written comments prior to the meeting. Persons wishing to address the board in person should fill out a blue speaker's card and hand it to Mrs. Fellman at the secretary's desk. If you wish to speak on a specific agenda item, please turn in your card prior to that item section of the agenda. If the school district business you wish to speak about is not on tonight's agenda, please turn in your card before the public comment section. If you intend to donate time to another speaker, please hand in both speaker cards at the same time to Mrs. Fellman. If you wish to register your concern but not speak at the podium, please fill out a yellow public statement form and turn it in at Mrs. Fellman's desk. Board members will be provided with these statements after the meeting. Please be advised that a recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast for our live stream audience, and the recording and broadcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. Smoking is not permitted in this building or anywhere on any district property. Copies of the agenda are available on the table in the board lobby. Please silence all mobile phones. All right, moving on to item 2D, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
President Sylvester, I move that we approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Were we polling an item? Yeah, we're going to redo that. Take two.
President Sylvester, I move that we approve the agenda, pulling item 4C from the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, please vote. Trustee Kearns?
Yes.
Trustee Powell?
Yes.
Trustee Gorbach?
Yes.
Trustee Gill?
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-0 with a preferential yes vote from Trustee Kearns. All right, moving on now to item 2E, reports from Student reporters. We are going to start with Selena Smith from Century Academy.
Hello, hello, President Sylvester, Dr. McLaughlin, members of the board and district administration. My name is Selena Smith, and I'm happy to provide you with what Century Academy has planned for March as we dive into April. Starting off with ASG, we have 2 upcoming events. First being karaoke night on the 24th at 6 p.m. This will be our first event we are hosting outside school hours, as well as the first event that will exclusively be for high school students. Next is our spring event. Unlike karaoke night, this event is open to a younger audience, and activities will include glitter tattoos, face paint, an egg hunt, and etc. On Wednesday, ASU will be going on their own little field trip at the Jan's Mall to have some fun at the escape room. On the 10th, we have our 14th annual blood drive, where we had students, staff, and members of the community come and donate. In total, we donated 13 pints, which was very close to our goal of 14. Starting today, we will be having our 16th annual Mano Food Drive to help our local communities in need, and we will be accepting donations for the next 2 weeks. Thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Selena. Next up, Angeline Pinn, Conejo Valley High School.
Good evening, President Sylvester, Dr. McLaughlin, members of the board, and district administration. We are truly grateful to Shoes That Fit for donating a pair of shoes to each and every student at CVHS. They provided an amazing service to our students. Also, a big thank you to Dr. McLaughlin, Mrs. Ashmore, Mrs. Harrison, and Mrs. Bowman for joining us during the pop-up shop. It was a busy 5th period, but a majority of students got their shoes on the first distribution day. The Interact Club and Leadership class were lucky enough to welcome the Lizard Lady to our class. The next generation Rotary Club is always providing us with guest speakers, and she is a former student from the Moore Park College Exotic Animal Program. She shared her experience and the path that brought her there, as well as how being a student there has led her to her career. She shared with us how important it is to take advantage of the opportunities that come our way. We never know when one of those will lead to our future career. We helped next generation Rotarians sort Legos by color. This was part of a project for the new Science Museum opening in Camarillo. Our little contribution will be part of the display at the new facility. On February 25th, a big group of CVHS students attended the annual ALT Summit at the VCOE. There were representatives from the area, junior colleges, and the UCSB. We learned about some of the programs available, like cybersecurity at Moore Park, the auto tech program at Ventura, and the dental hygiene program at Oxnard. We also learned about how to transfer to the UCSB or other four-year universities. Of course, they fed us as well. Breakfast burritos in the morning and pizza for lunch. It was a great day, and we all walked away with lots of information. We also did another giveaway at the last Adelante food share. The clothing and shoes went quickly, and all the recipients were very appreciative. Now there are only 2 days left in quarter 3, and once again, we'll have several students leaving us, several students leaving us. A handful of dragons graduate on Friday. As we say farewell to them, we are welcoming several new students too. In the coming weeks, we'll be busy planning for the remainder of the school year. We have an Easter egg hunt planned for next week, thanks to the support of Anthem Church. Then we have several other events after spring, including our 3rd annual family night, grad night, and our first ever senior sunset. It's hard to believe how quickly this school year is going, but thank you for allowing me to present the latest from CVHS, and I hope you all have a wonderful spring break, and I will see you in April.
Thank you, Angeline. Next up, we have Cariana Fuller, who is going to report for Newbury Park High School.
Okay. Good evening, distinguished members of the board and district personnel. My name is Carrie Fuller, and it's a pleasure to be joining on behalf of Newbury Park High School as the student representative this evening in place of Darwin. The last month has been very eventful, with ASG hosting numerous lunchtime activities where students have had the opportunity to make crafts, play games, and build connections with their peers. Most recently, we celebrated St. Patrick's Day with a campus attack and lunchtime celebration, despite the heat. As Darwin mentioned last time, all of our IB Performing Arts students performed in their respective shows and did an incredible job on their IB assessments, which should be graded over the summer. Additionally, the NPHS band hosted the CVUSD Band and Strings Festival last Tuesday, where students learned from local musicians, performed, and got a post-performance workshop. Last week, the Newbury Park track and field renovations were completed, and last night was the first home game to take place on the new and improved field, with girls lacrosse winning 17-8. Construction is still underway on what will soon be the new weight room as well, and we hope it will be complete soon. Looking into the future, ASG board elections begin tomorrow and continue for the next couple of days, so students are given the chance to vote for who they would like to represent them, both in student government and at these board meetings. There are 10 candidates running for 4 positions, so there's slight competition. This week, ASG is also hosting a cornhole tournament and our March Madness bracket, which goes live tomorrow. And next week, CASP testing begins for all of our juniors, so we would like to wish everyone luck as they prepare. On the performing arts side of things, Jazz Band will be hosting their annual jazz festival, and the theater department will be putting on their production of Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, starting March 26th. So be sure to come and show support to both groups. We are excited for the rest of this fun-filled month and the events planned that make NPHS such a fun and inclusive, uplifting environment for all of our students. Thank you for your support and have a good night.
Thank you for coming and subbing. Next up, Jade Yakel for Thousand Oaks High School.
Sorry, I'm a little taller. Good morning, good evening, esteemed members of the board, Dr. McLaughlin, and district personnel. My name is Jade Yakel, and I'm the ASB treasurer at Thousand Oaks High School. I'm honored to present the March board report on behalf of our school. March has been an exciting and active time at Thousand Oaks High School as we head into the spring season. Our spring sports are now in full swing with baseball, softball, boys volleyball, boys and girls lacrosse, boys tennis, swimming, diving, and track and field all competing with energy and pride. Our student athletes continue to represent TOHS with dedication and strong sportsmanship across the community. There has been a great deal of energy on our campus as we approach spring break. One major highlight that we have this week is our Spring Club Hello Day, which continues to be a student favorite. This event gives our clubs the opportunity to fundraise during lunch while showcasing their organization, creating a lively and engaging atmosphere in the quad and encouraging students to get involved. We are also especially excited for our upcoming unified sports basketball game taking place this Friday, March 20th, where we will be hosting Newbury Park High School and Westlake High School. This is a meaningful event for our campus as Special Olympics and the ESPN will be in attendance recognizing Thousand Oaks High School's unified sports program as a distinguished program. It is an incredible opportunity to celebrate inclusion, teamwork, and positive impact of athletes on all students. Looking ahead to next week, we are preparing for our annual spring rally, which will bring the entire school together to celebrate school spirit. A highlight of this rally is always the teacher versus student basketball game, which continues to be a fun and memorable tradition for our campus community. Academically, we are also entering an important period as the CASP and CAST testing begins next week. Our students and staff are approaching this time with focus and determination, demonstrating their commitment to academic growth and achievement. We appreciate the continued support from the district in providing the resources and environment that allow our students to succeed. March has been a month of energy, connecting, and pride at Thousand Oaks High School. Thank you for your continued support of our students, staff, and programs.
Thank you, Jade. And finally, we have Amelie Ortez, Westlake High School.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really happy to be representing Westlake tonight. Starting off our month of February, we celebrated Black History Month with announcements and videos from our Black Student Union. In addition, we appreciated our counselors during National School Counseling Appreciation Week from February 2nd to the 6th. On Valentine's Day, we had festivities such as our senior rose sales and a teddy bear scavenger hunt. Also, we celebrated the Chinese Lunar New Year on February 20th at lunch with cultural performances, immersing art activities, and authentic food. Wrapping up the month, we held our choir festival on the 27th and 28th, along with our first ever student-teacher basketball game on the 27th. The Westlake High School staff and teachers took the win with a score of 30-28. This current month at Westlake, we have been honored to host the Unified Sports Game on March 4th. Our Unified Warriors played Newbury Park in our gym and celebrated our Unified senior athletes. We have been celebrating Women's History Month and National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month with morning announcements. We have held a blood drive on March 12th where both students and Westlake High School staff participated. Additionally, our girls soccer team made it to CIF state championships and went to Sacramento. They did come short in overtime, but we are extremely proud of our Westlake High School girls soccer team. We continue this week by celebrating St. Patrick's Day. This month, our juniors are participating in CASP testing. On Friday, the 3 schools are coming to host the Latino Connections Dance at Thousand Oaks High School. This dance serves as a fundraiser to provide scholarships to Latino Connection Senior Club members. In the future, we are looking forward to our theater performance of Legally Blonde from March 26th to 28th, along with our Spirit Week that will bring back the Y2K fashion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we are now on item 2F, which is public comments. So, the CVUSD Board of Education wants to hear from students, parents, employees, and our community. All individuals have the right to provide public comments during our school board meetings under Government Code Section 54954.3. Comments regarding specific items listed on tonight's agenda must be made when that agenda item is called. If you wish to speak on a topic that's not on tonight's agenda, now is your time to provide your public comment. If you have not already done so and you wish to speak, please hand in your blue card to Mrs. Fellman. Please note if you have any materials to hand to the board, to please provide these materials to Mrs. Fellman and she will distribute them to us. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the board cannot undertake any action or discussion on items not on tonight's posted agenda. However, members of the board or its staff may briefly reply to comments or questions posed by the public. Usually, we will wait until the end of the public comment period before responding. As our meetings are held in public, your comments will be heard by those who are attending or watching a broadcast. In addition, the board encourages students to participate in civic affairs. Therefore, we hope that students are watching this meeting or in tonight's audience, which I see several. Please be mindful of that and please make your comments factual and offer them in a respectful manner. In compliance with all applicable state and federal laws, the governing board strives to respect the privacy rights of students and employees during our meetings. This includes the right for the identities of students to remain confidential. We also ask that speakers be sensitive to our employees' legal rights to privacy and confidentiality. So, as a reminder, those requesting to speak at this time will speak on items that are not on the board agenda. And please note that speaker cards will not be accepted once the board starts this agenda item with the first speaker. All right, we have one speaker card, Christy Warner, and she will have 3 minutes to speak.
Fortunately for you guys, I'm not talking.
Okay. So the clock starts as soon as you start.
Okay. Good evening, Superintendent McLaughlin, President Sylvester, school board members, and viewing audience. My name is Clara, and I'm a K-Kid. We are excited to share our 5th K-Kids book, What Makes You Unique. It's all about the special things that make each of us different, and why being yourself is something to celebrate. Everyone is unique in their own special ways. Here are the ways I am unique. I play volleyball and golf. I have 2 older sisters, and I have my own style. I also love animals and pets. I am also very brave. That's why I'm unique.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Charlotte, and I'm the K-Kids secretary. I think what makes me unique is the amazing kindness I spread. I care about how other people feel. In school, it's easy just to focus on yourself or try to be cool by being mean, but I try to do the opposite. I have a radar for when someone's having a bad day, like they're sitting alone at lunch or looking sad in the halls.
Being kind to me means being the one who reaches out and makes sure no one feels invisible. I don't do big things for attention. I try to be someone people can trust. This means standing up for a friend or being inclusive. If a friend is stressed out about something like a big test, I remind them they got this. I am patient and listen when someone is talking so they know they are being heard. I think kindness is my superpower, which is why I think kindness is what makes me unique.
Nice job.
Hi, my name is Ariel. We are all unique in our own ways, but these are reasons why I'm unique. First, I'm unique because I love to dance and sing. My favorite song is Mean Girls by Cat's Eye. Also, I love animals like cats, dogs, and bunnies. In my free time, I love to read and draw. One of my favorite books is Hooky by Marima Bonestra, Volume 1. I mostly draw on my iPad since I'm a digital artist. When I draw on paper, I'm a little good, not bad. I also have a different fingerprint than everyone on the planet. Also, you have your own fingerprint, too. Finally, I'm unique because I am a K-Kid. Being a K-Kid is the best thing in the world for me. I'm happy K-Kids is a thing in our world. We are all unique, but these are some reasons why I'm unique.
Okay, last words. Go.
As you can see, good things are happening at Weathersfield.
Look at that. You got it.
Thank you so much for coming to speak. You guys did an excellent job. That was truly wonderful. And thank you. I don't think we have any questions to the audience. All right, we are now on item 3A. We're in section 3, which is action items. 3A, human resources, adoption of annual resolution number 25/26-32. Do I have a motion? Trustee Goldberg, I see you buzzed in first.
I move that we adopt annual resolution number 25/26-32, Public School Volunteers Week, April 20th through 24th, as submitted.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Trustee Gorbach.
I just want to thank all our school volunteers. It takes a lot to volunteer your time to help out our kids and our teachers, and I just want to thank all the volunteers.
I mean, I think this is a pretty new resolution, if I recall Trustee Goldberg bringing it up. We couldn't do a lot of what we do without all our volunteers, both at school sites, at our district representatives, et cetera. So I think having a week where we recognize that is important. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, let's vote. Trustee Kearns.
Yes.
Trustee Gorbach.
Yes.
Trustee Gill.
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
I am a yes. Motion carries 5-0 with an honorary, or the preferential vote, from Trustee Kearns. Item 3B, adoption of annual resolution number 25/26-36. Do I have a motion?
President
Trustee Powell.
I move that we adopt resolution 25/26 through 36, recognizing April 27th, 2026 through May 1st, 2026 as Workforce Readiness Week as submitted.
Okay, there was a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Okay, seeing none, please vote. Trustee Kearns.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Trustee Gill.
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg.
Yes.
Trustee Gorbach.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-0 with a preferential yes vote from Trustee Kearns. All right, we are on item 3C, approval of annual resolution in support of Arab American Heritage Month. Do I have a motion? Trustee Goldberg.
I move that we adopt annual resolution 25/26-31 in support of Arab American Heritage Month as submitted.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Okay. Seeing none, please vote. Trustee Kearns.
Yes.
Trustee Gill.
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg.
Yes.
Trustee Gorbak.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-0 with a preferential yes vote from Trustee Kearns. All right, we're on item 3D, which is a notice of public hearing to approve the submission of the disclosure of collective bargaining agreement for 2025 to 2026. So I get to use the gavel. Convene it. We will now convene a public hearing to receive public testimony concerning the submission of the disclosure of collective bargaining agreement for 2025-26 for the Unified Association of Conejo Teachers, UACT, and the Conejo Valley Pupil Personnel Association, CVPPA. Are there any public comments? Okay. Okay, so since no public comments have been received, I'm going to close the public hearing. And are there any comments or discussions from board members? Any comments from Mrs. Ashmore? Okay. Seeing none, we're going to go to agenda item 3E. So I do need a motion for agenda item 3E, which is approval of proposed salary tentative agreements with UACT and CVPPA. Trustee Powell.
I move that we approve the tentative agreements with UACT and CVPPA and the other salary increases as submitted.
Okay. Second. Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this? Any comments? All right, for this agenda item, since it's human resource related, Trustee Kearns will not participate in the vote. Sorry. So no other comments? All right, seeing none, please vote. Trustee Gill.
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg.
Yes.
Trustee Gorbak.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
I am a yes, and that means motion carries 5-0. So thank you to everybody who worked to bring this forward and agree. Item 3F, we're going to do another notice of public hearing to approve the submission of the disclosure of another collective bargaining agreement. We will now convene this public meeting to receive public testimony concerning the submission of the disclosure of collective bargaining agreement for 2024 to 2025 and 2025 to 2026 for the California School Employees Association. Ms. Feldman, are there any public comment cards? Okay, since there are no public comment cards, I will now close the public hearing. Are there any comments or discussion from board members? Mrs. Ashmore, any comments? Okay. All right, so now we are going to move to item 3G, which is actually approving this tentative agreement. Do I have a motion? Trustee Goldberg.
I move that we approve the tentative agreement with the California Schools Employees Association, CSEA, Conejo Chapter 620, as submitted.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved, it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? And again, I want to note that Trustee Kearns will not participate on this vote as it pertains to personnel matter. So seeing no comments, please vote. Trustee Gill?
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg?
Yes.
Trustee Gorbak?
Yes.
Trustee Powell?
Yes.
I am a yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right. I think that's it for the gavel. All right, moving on to item 3H, approval of salary increases for non-represented classified substitute teachers, adult ed, and academic specialists. Is there a motion? Trustee Gorbak. Oh, did you mean to?
That's okay. I'll make the motion. I move that we approve the salary negotiations with those groups previously mentioned.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, again, Trustee Kearns will not participate in this vote. So seeing no questions or comments, let's vote. Trustee Powell?
Yes.
Trustee Gorbak?
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg?
Yes.
Trustee Gill?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right, moving right along to item 3I, which is ratification of the future school year calendar, 2027 to 2028. That's hard to wrap your hands around. Do I have a motion? Trustee Gorback.
I move that we approve ratify the calendar as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none, please vote. Trustee Kearns, welcome back.
Do I vote on this?
You vote on the calendar,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Trustee Gorback.
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Okay, I am a yes. Motion carries 5-0 with a preferential yes vote from Trustee Kearns.
I vote yes, too.
Oh, this is how I don't think you weren't listed here. I was listed, so yeah, sorry. My mistake. All right, motion carries 5-0 with a preferential yes vote from Trustee Kearns. Sorry, Trustee Gill. Yeah, I was wondering why my name was listed. Now I know. Okay, we are now on section 4, which is our consent agenda. We have pulled item 4C. Is there a motion for this item?
I move
Trustee
that
Go.
we approve 4C, instructional services, approval of contracts under $5,000.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Trustee Gill.
I asked to pull this item because there is one single contract on this long list, which is the contract for Magic School, which I'm asking that we postpone. And the reason is that under Dr. Suter's leadership, the Technology Committee is now working on an evaluation framework for software like this artificial intelligence software package. And that work is proceeding, and we should have something in front of the board shortly. This is exactly the kind of software program that the new evaluation framework is designed to look at and measure evidence of benefits against potential risks and make some informed choices. So given the board's responsibility for oversight and to develop strong policy frameworks, I'm asking that we just postpone this single contract for a short time until we can consider it again with the evaluation framework in place.
Trustee Kearns.
While I wholeheartedly support the contracts for ponies and petting zoos as having been on the receiving end of such joy they bring, I will say I do have the same reservations or similar reservations about Magic School. I know we had this discussion toward the beginning of my term as well, but I do think it's a good idea, especially with all the work the Technology Committee is doing. We haven't necessarily seen the results of that yet. I know as a student it's been really difficult navigating artificial intelligence. I know I've seen my teachers have difficulty with it as well. So I would absolutely support postponing this decision until we have more clarity as to what direction our district is heading in.
Trustee Powell.
Thank you both for those insights. I have a little bit of a different take on it in that this contract is only 4 months. It's going to, I believe, if my glasses are serving properly, it will just go through June. So it's a very short contract. And I know that we currently are doing sort of a pilot of sorts with Magic School. I think that's through the end of the school year. I don't anticipate we're going to have a framework for around AI or updated technology policies till closer to the end of the school year. So I actually see this as a great opportunity for these teachers who have submitted a rationale to the board of why they wanted this, for them to get to use it, and maybe we get some feedback on how it works for them as we move forward on developing stronger policy frameworks around AI and technology.
I would just like to clarify that this particular software program was submitted for use by both teachers and students, and I don't believe we should be conducting an experiment. The evaluation framework is a short ways away, and I would like to wait for it.
All right. I do hear the concerns, and I do understand the concerns around artificial intelligence. I know we all grapple with understanding it and understanding these tools. And I want to be clear, I absolutely support having a strong AI policy, as long as a general technology policy, and I know those are in the works, and I'm thankful for the work that's being done. But I don't believe at this point it's responsible for us to wait until this policy is fully developed before we take any action. We know that teachers and students are already using AI in class and at home. We heard this directly from all of our SDAC reps. They were very consistent in how much they use these tools. I believe that choosing not to act and not to approve this teacher-driven request, because it comes directly from our teachers, doesn't prevent its use. It just means it's going to be continued to be used without any structure and any oversight at this time. The teachers are asking for the software, already using it appropriately. They're finding it effective. And to echo what Trustee Powell said, it actually can give us some feedback and help us develop an even stronger policy based on real experience, not just assumptions. So I believe the ship has sailed in terms of AI and in terms of usage of it. And I also believe that we need to prepare our students for college. We need to prepare our students for careers. And they need to understand how to use these AI tools appropriately and ethically. And having something that is supported by the district and that we will vet as we do all of our software. I'm looking at Dr. Suter for that. I think this is the way to go. I think delaying that exposure, delaying that step, given especially how quickly AI is evolving, really is going to put our students at a disadvantage. So again, I believe we need a strong AI policy. I'm clear on that, but I believe this is a small step toward some sort of oversight-driven resource. Trustee Goldberg.
And I'm going to say, you said a lot of what I was going to say, so I don't have to, but I would just piggyback on the fact that, and underscore the fact that this is a teacher-driven, well-articulated argument as to why this particular paid version would help them use a tool that they're already using and have approved, it's been approved to use. So given the short window, given the work that's going on with the policy, I'm inclined to support our teachers here.
Trustee Gorbach.
So to clarify, this is already being used by our teachers currently, and to pull it, would that affect lesson plans for like the immediate future? Would that, I guess I'm asking Mr. Liu.
Yeah, just to jump in to provide some additional detail. As mentioned before, this is a teacher-driven request. Specifically, a number of teachers at Newbury Park High School are using the like the free trial version of this. We believe 4 or 5 teachers are actually paying out of their own pocket for like the full licensing for this, and so we anticipate about 15 to 20 teachers would be using it specifically as it relates to providing academic support to students in the area of writing. As was mentioned before, we do have 3 other schools previous in the school year that we had approved to have the paid version of Magic School, Thousand Oaks High School being one of them, and their teachers actually have given a lot of positive feedback on this particular writing feedback tool. And again, just to clarify that for the Newbury Park contract, as well as for the ones previously approved and discussed, those all expire at the end of this school year.
So this time frame works with that, correct?
Any other comments, questions, follow-up? Okay. I think it's time to vote on this.
A yes vote is voting. A yes voting is voting on the approval of the contract, not pulling it.
To be fair, it's approving all the contracts on that agenda item, but the one in question is the specific Magic School Bus. Right. All right, so I've had a motion and a second. We've discussed it. Please vote. Trustee Kearns.
Yes.
Trustee Gill.
No.
Trustee Goldberg.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Trustee Gorbach.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Motion carries 4-1 with a preferential yes vote from Trustee Kearns. All right. We are now at a time where we need to have a motion on the remainder of the consent agenda. Trustee Gorbach.
I move that we approve the remainder of the consent agenda as submitted.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, please vote. Trustee Kearns?
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg?
Yes.
Trustee Gill?
Yes.
Trustee Gorbach?
Yes.
Trustee Powell?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-0 with a preferential yes vote from Trustee Kearns. Okay, we're doing well time-wise. All right, we are now on Section 5, information and discussion items. So first up is 5A, which Kenny Lou will be presenting on student progress.
Good evening. Just as we look at the agenda, I guess I should apologize. I am the person keeping the Board of Education and the public away from the exciting updates from Ms. Phillips related to child nutrition services. I don't know if there are food samples, but we will have to wait and see. And the head's just shaking no. But I do have an annual presentation to provide the Board of Education and the public. And I am excited to do so. The purpose of tonight's presentation, as we do each year, and that we've had specifically in the past few years, is to provide a multi-level data snapshot at the progress of our CBUSD students. And we are using this opportunity to provide an in-depth examination of the College Career Indicator, which is a function of the California dashboard. The dive into that topic was a request previously by the Board of Education. So we thought it would be appropriate for us to take a look at that at this time in the presentation. A little unique to what we've done before in the past is we provided as much as we could sort of a 3-year look at things. We thought that now would be a really nice time to look to see, as we've come out of the impacts of COVID-19, where do our students stand now from a 3-year outlook. So it is a little bit different for this year, but I thought that it would be pertinent to share with the community and with the board. The overall headline just is that our student performance is strong, and we're really proud of our students and all of the staff that support the teaching and learning of our students. Our students are outperforming state benchmarks consistently, and we continue to show areas of growth across multiple measures, in particular with student groups. I think that there's an important recognition for our school district and for school districts across California and the nation that there are student groups that are in places that we want to continue to learn and grow and do better for. And so we have this commitment to ongoing continuous improvement, and I do think that we are showing improvement for many of our student groups in particular, but again, overall, just proud of the overall success of our students and the hardworking staff that we have. So taking a look at our satellite data, which is sort of our really big picture, state-level data, we take a look at our California dashboard results. We demonstrate strong performance again across multiple California dashboard indicators. You can see the dashboard indicators noted there. Primarily, we are in the green, as well as a yellow in chronic absenteeism, which is patterned across the state. Also, you can note too that we are indicating standards meet in the local indicators, which are, if you're looking at the screen, the bottom row and the sort of blue button. Those are that teachers and instructional materials and facilities, we have standard met, implementation of academic standards also met, parent and family engagement, local climate survey, and access to a broad course of study, all of those indicate met. I did want to highlight, and I spoke a little bit about the improvement of our student groups. I'm wanting to share with the Board of Education and the public that based off of the 2024, which is the previous California dashboard, we had a number of student groups district-wide that were in the red. And those are all indicated here on the chart if you look down at the bottom of the various groups and the labels. I'm wanting to indicate here that based off of the most recent California dashboard results, all of those student groups made considerable improvements. So all of those groups that were in the red moved either to the orange or to the yellow. You can see for ELA and for math, noted again down towards the bottom, The increases are noted in terms of increases in points. And then for college career indicator, which are the 3 on the right, those are increases in the percent of increased. So again, noting improvements for our long-term English learners, students with disabilities, students experiencing homelessness, English learners. Again, just demonstrating ongoing improvement. This is a look at our English language arts results. Our students are scoring 43.5 points higher than the state average in English language arts. As we've done in previous presentations, on the top right, we're indicating some of the actions in progress, all of which I won't speak to, but just to highlight, for instance, in this case, we have provided all of our kindergarten, first, and second grade teachers with a comprehensive science of reading training that's been really successful, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from our teachers. And this is for grades, implementation grades, kinder, first, and second, and so we do anticipate sort of a roll-up effect in terms of our students' literacy there. If you look at the chart on the second, or I guess third column from the left, you can see the CVUSD score, which is the points either above or below standard, and then indicating the difference between our scores in 2025 and the 2025 state scores on the far right in italics. Again, just emphasizing all of our students as well as our student groups continue to outperform statewide peers. I should also note, too, that when you look at the comparisons from the 2024 CVUSD scores and 2025, all of the students, as well as all the student groups, made some improvement. Similar when we look at math, our math performance exceeds the state average by about 50 points in this case. An action just to point out is Ms. Bartlett and Dr. Suter, as well as many of our teacher leaders have provided framework and initial framework training on the new California math framework provided to all of our TK to 5 math teacher, all of our TK to 5 elementary teachers, as well as our secondary math teachers. We are also in the process of examining potentially new instructional materials to pilot starting next school year that are aligned to the new California math framework. Again, just noting here the differences between 24 and 25 for CVUSD. All of our scores increased from the prior year, and then again on the right, you can note just the difference comparing our students' results to their state peers. For English learner progress, highlighting one particular action for this year as we've implemented, we had previously piloted and now have implemented new secondary ELD materials. Those new secondary ELD materials have included formal training from the publisher as well as structured collaboration and ongoing support. You can note district-wide that our English learner progress has increased by almost 10% from the previous year, with about 51% of students advancing towards proficiency. The chart just indicates in the purple the percent of English learners that progressed at least one test level on the LPAC. This has kind of followed our ongoing trend of in a year we'll see a decline in that percent and then an increase and a decline, and that is because through our analysis of the data, we see students who do well on this are typically going to reclassify and not have to participate in taking the LPAC. These are results for students who take the California Alternate Assessment, which is a summative assessment for English language arts and for mathematics, which are administered to students whose IEP teams have determined them eligible to take the CA, as we call it. One of the actions, just to highlight, that's in progress is our students have taken the practice interim assessment to gain more familiarity and comfort with the particular CA platform. All of our special education teachers have received training on how to administer some of the interim or practice assessments, not just for the CA, but also for the SBAC, English and math. You can just note here for both math and for English. The students who reached the highest level, which is level 3, has increased from the prior year, and we are either exceeding or approaching the state averages. For least restrictive environment, our students with disabilities access to general education has increased from 46% to 63% over 7 years. One particular action, just to highlight, has been a change that we made this year by increasing inclusion in our preschool programs. And that has looked like an itinerant special education teacher going to Be Me and to City Center, either in the morning or the afternoon, to provide co-teaching for students with disabilities in the general education setting. As noted here, this is indicator 5A, which is how students with IEPs in grades TK through post-secondary are included in the general education setting 80% or more of the school day. Just noting that our current 5A indicator is about 63%. I should note that the state target is 70%, which is we continue to get closer and closer to that state target. 6A, which is more related to the progress that we're making at the preschool level, our last year 6A indicator was about 33.1%, and with the progress we've made for this year, currently it's at about 60%. Regarding chronic absenteeism, our chronic absenteeism rate district-wide is nearly 7 percentage points lower than the state average. And speaking of sort of the state and for us in particular, chronic absenteeism numbers, particularly after the pandemic, were extremely high. And so a big credit to our staff, all of our staff really, that make school engaging, but also, and in particular, our attendance staff at the school sites and at the district level that are providing really important follow-up. These are staff that are regularly using data and data reports to provide information and support to students and families. You can note the CVUSD percents for chronic absenteeism on the third column, and I included the 3-year trend for all of our students as well as for particular student groups, just again noting that we continue to reduce chronic absenteeism. Chronic absenteeism is, I should just state, it is defined as students who miss 10% or more of the school year for any reason, excused or unexcused. For graduation rates, about 95% of our students are listed as graduates, which is about nearly 7 percentage points higher than that state average. We've also included on here, and I'll probably talk a lot more about some of these other things, but Golden Merit Seal, State Seal by Literacy, A through G, CTE, and College Career Indicator. These are other indicators of students' success as they complete their programs here with us. I want to note and indicate that for our students with disabilities, the way that the California dashboard calculates a graduation rate, it does not include students who receive a special education certificate of completion. And so when we look at, for instance, last year's numbers, we had 43 students earn a certificate of completion. Those student numbers are not factored into our calculation for students with disabilities. If you took the students who earned a certificate of completion, along with those students with disabilities who earned a high school diploma and graduated, the combined would be about 95%. So to spend a little more time diving into the college career indicator, again, at the request previously from the Board of Education, we wanted to spend a little more time on that. And so as part of that, we wanted to talk a little bit about what is the college career indicator. And so you can note here that it's the percent of high school graduates who the state, through this calculation, designates as prepared for college or career. It really is designed for high schools to provide and to provide evidence of a more rigorous broad course of study that's preparing students for post-secondary success. So bulleted there, I believe, are the 11 various indicators. In the presentation, I did link together, and I won't open them, but I'll wave them here, Some more detailed information about how the measures of college readiness and career readiness are calculated. For instance, and just to demonstrate that it's not as, I would say, as easy as it looks, if you say met the UC CSU requirements, they look like this, the linked documents. So students who are identified as meeting the UC CSU requirements are those who meet those requirements for admission to a CSU or UC and meet one of the additional criteria. So it's an and. And one of those additional criteria could be receiving a score of 3 or higher on the ELA or the Math SBAC, or a score of 2 in either, completing a certain number of coursework that's dual enrollment college credit courses, completing an AP course, or receiving a score of 3 or higher on an AP, receiving a 3 or higher on an AB exam, or completing a CTE pathway. So again, that just trying to demonstrate, I think, the more intricate and detailed requirements that you see here. Another one that I wanted to highlight too is the CTE pathway completion. So in order for a student to meet this particular criteria, a student would have to complete a CTE pathway with a grade of C- or better in the capstone course, and, bless you, meet one of the additional criteria, which would be scoring a 3 or higher on an SBAC, on an ELA or Math SBAC test, or receiving a certain number of dual enrollment college course credits outside of the completed CTE pathway. So kind of taking all of that together, we wanted to share some more in-depth information regarding some of our metrics, especially as we look at the last 3 years. So just overall, our college and career readiness results have increased by 6.5 percentage points over the last 3 years, and we currently exceed the state average by almost 10 percentage points when you look at all of our students. There are many actions in progress, and I'll talk about some of them too in the preceding slides. We have been working with our school counselors to identify particular students within student groups who we know can make considerable improvements when it comes to reaching one of the many CCI or College Career Indicator criteria. Those school counselors have worked closely to identify students and to help ensure that many of those students are able to reach and access one of the various CCI indicators. The table here, I should have stated before, includes the percentage of students who are designated, either prepared for, based off of the criteria for career readiness or college readiness. And you can note on the right the 3-year change over the course of the 23, 24, and 25 school years. Again, just noting that all of our students, as well as all of our student groups, have shown improvement in this area. Just to go back to some of the actions in progress, as we've shared with the Board of Education previously, we completed, a multi-year training from hatching results for all of our school counselors to develop a more comprehensive school counseling program. A result of that has been the implementation of Tier 1 and Tier 2 lessons to students in the area of college career, as well as social emotional and academic. We know that our school counselors are going into classrooms and working with students to provide them with more information related to the various, that relate to the various indicators here. We also, and from a Tier 2 standpoint, we know that, for instance, like for our AVID classes, school counselors will come in and provide additional support and information for students, again, as they relate to reaching these various indicators. Taking a look at this, our students are demonstrating college readiness, again, through rigorous coursework and academic achievement. This chart explains of the number of students who did qualify for the College Career Indicator, this is how those students reach that particular prepared qualification. These numbers do indicate do show duplicative counts. For instance, a student may be graduating having met the A through G completion requirements, as well as, for instance, the state seal of biliteracy, and that student would be included in those numbers twice. As you note here, over time, we have seen a considerable change in the way that students are qualifying for College Career Indicator, specifically through A through G completion as well as through advanced placement. Again, on the right, you can see the considerable increase there. On the A through G side of things, I think that certainly our college career, our CCR, college career counselors, have been able to work with individual students and families, supporting them in navigating and meeting those A through G requirements. But we've also, I would say, developed more of an A through G culture at our schools. In previous years, we would have information about our what the high school graduation requirements were, but did not include what the sort of mirrored A through G requirements were. And so now, for instance, take those posters and that information, we're providing both sets of information. Again, like really establishing more of a culture of being A through G complete when students finish. Also, from the advanced placement standpoint, we do have additional data to share later in the presentation, but we continue to have more students take the advanced placement test over time, and I think in particular we're proud of the number of unduplicated students who are taking the test more now than they were in the past. In terms of just A through G completion, we continue to increase for all students and our student groups. Just noting here what are the percent of students who are finishing with us, the percent of those that have met those UC, CSU, A through G requirements, which is about 60% at this point. Again, you can note by all students and our student groups, the 3-year change continues to be in the positive for everyone. So just to kind of sum that up and then talk about some of the next steps, we also wanted to highlight and kind of spotlight some of the individual progress that some of our student groups are having at individual school sites. So you can see there kind of highlighting particular student groups that have shown considerable growth in College Career Indicator at Westlake, TO, and Newbury Park. And then district-wide, just indicating the general improvement from our English learners and students experiencing homelessness. Again, proud of the increase that we're seeing. Some of the next steps in terms of sustaining this and finding additional pathways for students to be successful on this indicator. We continue to try to work with Moorpark on expanding dual enrollment pathways. This year, we've actually established an articulated agreement with CLU, specifically at Westlake High School for students who complete a CTE pathway at Westlake High School. They would also be earning credits provided by CLU. Our multilingual learner department has created a state seal of biliteracy webpage that we, of course, have published, but also are seeking to provide to our staff, specifically our school counselors, to share with students and families. We are working closely with our special education staff on implementing the alternative pathway to the high school diploma, which we think will considerably increase the number of students with disabilities who meet the CCI indicator. We continue to, of course, try to expand our CTE pathways and continue to successfully write for grants for that. As part of our piloting of new courses that we'll bring forward to the Board of Education, we're looking at potentially new AP classes that we think are exciting and engaging, such as AP Cybersecurity. And then we also attribute a lot of the progress, specifically for our students with disabilities, on the increased inclusion and co-teaching opportunities. So that's a step away from CCI and more of a move now into our MAP data, which gets us a little bit closer, looking at more local data that we use at the school district level. As we do each year, we've pulled out some of the key standards from the elementary benchmarks, kindergarten through second. And I think that sort of the headline on this is that early literacy for us continues to improve. Again, you can note an increase in almost all or most of the areas compared from last year to this year, and again, seeing some of those key standards that we're assessing. Moving forward into third grade, this is our first year with a standards-based third grade report card. And so as part of that, we have an ability now to report to the Board of Education on how some of our students at the third grade are doing, specifically on some key standards noted here. We tried to provide an explanation as to the grading scale and how mastery is assessed based off the tables on the right. But we're, I think, really excited to continue to engage with our third grade teachers on honing in on making sure that these assessments are accurate and continuing to look at our benchmarks on an ongoing basis. This is our grade distribution for grades 4 through 12. You can note that we tried to indicate sort of by a grade span how that looks like overall. So you can note sort of the gray, although it doesn't come out there, the gray bold, how grades 4, 5 together, middle school and high school are doing. You can see that the percent of students getting A's, B's, and C's is about the same, similar to D's and F's, although you can see a bit of a decline when we compare the previous either trimester or semester from last year to where we are at right now, and that is that far right column. In terms of actions in progress, I wanted to point out, and I think actually we just approved it, the efforts that we have to expand structured intervention time. So the Redwood Bell schedule was a great example of that, which was on the consent agenda. Our schools, not just Redwood, but many of our secondary schools, continue to try to find ways to adjust and structure the Bell schedule so we can provide time during the school day to provide support and intervention to students who may need that support in time, and to provide that during the school day, as well as to provide important time for our educators to collaborate, to review data, and to talk about what the important next steps are to support students who may need additional help. As I referenced before, in terms of advanced placement, we continue to see an increase, and we're so pleased to see an increase in students who are taking the advanced placement tests. You can look at just the numbers from 21 to 25. And then also a really big increase from about 70% receiving a score of 3 or better to now being at 88%, which is really impressive. On the IB front, we continue to see students, more students taking IB exams, and then even 98%, I would say that's pretty good, from 2021 to 2025. So that a great, consistent performance for students scoring a 4 or better as it relates to IB. This year, the College Board and AP, they designated all 3 of our schools, all 3 of our comprehensive high schools, and they earned AP honor roll recognitions. So you can see what the honor roll status is there, and College Board comes up with sort of separate indicators, which we've defined in the smaller print as it relates to college culture, college credit, and college optimization. Again, just proud of the work for so many of our students taking advanced placement tests. On the mental health and wellness side of things, for this year, we've provided about 3,600 high school wellness visits we've recorded. And again, just continuing to show strong use of those important supports. Here, we've broken down by grade span, elementary school, middle school, high school, what those services look like for our students. To talk about high school, for example, about 450 students are receiving individual services, about 100 receiving group services, about 800 students are accessing walk-in services for about 3,600 walk-in visits total, in addition to 24 presentations for high school students. Yes, we've spent a lot of time talking about the academic achievement of our students, but in full recognition that that academic achievement is paired so well with so many important things like student connections. At the secondary level, about 2/3, or at the high school level, 2/3 of our students are participating in some form of activities or athletics. Here, we're just indicating for middle school students the percent and number of students who are participating in visual and performing arts and just how important that is in engaging our students. A high percent of students also participating in teen center sports. These also included are the numbers and percents for high school students, and then noting and indicating on that last bullet the percent of high school students participating in at least one activity or athletics program with the breakdown by all students and student groups. We also wanted to provide like a 3-year outlook on our annual survey results. So our annual survey was recently provided to staff, students, and families earlier this month. And yes, earlier this month. The response totals are noted there. The response totals are small, about 1,300 students, a little less than 400 staff, and about 300 families completed the survey. That does fall in line with the trend in the number of responses that we have been getting over time. But again, just to talk a little bit about some of the data, I think we continue to either see the same amount of responses that are strongly agree or increases. I would say just specifically at the very bottom for students report that school staff work to create an inclusive environment. I think that we're all, I think probably heartened to see, I think obviously the continued work that we're doing at the elementary, but then the increase in the growth at the secondary level. Here's some more annual survey data, again, sharing how some parents and students responded. Again, just noting some increases across most of the questions over the last 3 years. For the question about students know how to report bullying, that has stayed about consistent at the elementary, but has increased considerably at the secondary level. And here's the street data part of things. From our student survey, we pulled just some, again, trying to get a balance of perspective from some of our students. We broke this down by some elementary students and secondary. I won't read any of them, but you can take a look. I did not make my students complete this, just to be fair. For student DAC, as the Board of Education is aware, and we're grateful that they continue to attend all of our advisory councils, including student DAC, we've really this year tried to create agenda items that allow us to listen in and to value the perspectives of our students. And so Dr. Suter actually and Ms. Judd have facilitated conversations specifically related to technology and artificial intelligence as we get closer to the board's discussion on these topics in the coming months, as well as we wanted to get some feedback from our students directly as we're looking, again, as I mentioned, looking at new instructional materials as part of the new framework. So again, just a summation of some of their feedback is noted here. Finally, these are just some of our staff perspectives. Again, balanced elementary and secondary that we've gathered from the annual survey. We tried to include a balance of, I would say, concerns and successes. And as we look through the qualitative responses, there definitely is a mix. And, I think definitely shows what we're doing well, which we want to continue. And then, of course, opportunities and areas for us to consider to make adjustments. I happen to read all of the feedback from our staff, and it is always such a helpful tool for me each year to go through to see, again, what our really important staff have to share. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. But again, I do want to give credit to all of our hardworking teachers, paraeducators, administrators, counselors, mental health staff, and all the behind-scenes staff that really make CVUSD a great place. And I would say, I think the evidence and a lot of the data shows that we're making great progress here in our school district.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. Thank you for such a comprehensive report, and thank you for not just looking at the data, but digging a little bit deeper into the data, particularly the college and career, as well as the more anecdotal street data. I think that's very helpful to see. Any questions from the board?
Questions or comments, right?
Questions or comments? Trustee Gorbach.
Well, first of all, thank you for that report. That was excellent. And second of all, to all, both in the audience and in TV that's watching, all of our teachers, all of our paras, all the people that contribute to education and to what we do in this district, a great big thank you. We keep improving, and it's all due to the people that work.
Trustee Powell.
I will also say thank you for this comprehensive presentation. I especially like that you're not just presenting the data and maybe what's changed, but you're aligning with it the actions that are being undertaken that lend themselves to maybe some of that improvement or that change, as well as kind of the work ahead. So I always appreciate all of that. And I really love that you focused on college and career. I know I've asked about this before, and I guess, when you think about it from, like, if you're just a CVUSD parent looking at this number of, like, college and career, and what does it mean? It means you were preparing students for college or career, and there's 61.5%. You go, that's it, right? And so the fact that you dug into this deeper to really show all of the measures, all of the work that's being done, and as you were going through it, of course, the question is, well, what can we still do? And where should we go deeper? And you talked about that as well. So, I mean, I guess I would kind of put that back out to you as a question of, like, where do you think, like, the biggest bang for our buck is? I mean, is it really, like, it looks like A through G, like really trying to keep that, like, targeting, getting more students to complete the A through G? Like, is that a big driver? I mean, obviously there's some of these that you're working with a really small subset of students that are actually going to get it, like the seal of biliteracy, right? So I'm just curious, like, where do you see where and I'm thinking, of course, as a board and looking ahead for goals and things like that, like, what do you think we should be expecting or imagining so that we can keep improving these numbers?
I mean, I think that we should continue to, like, lay a strong foundation as it relates to A through G, and I think that that's the comprehensive work of, like, an entire team, of course, at the school site, administrators, counselors, and teachers. I think that, like, I think the culture that we've created and will continue to create regarding just, like, the expectation that our students know about and our families know about, and that will, as we walk across that stage with the diploma, that likely, more and more students will also be eligible to apply to a CSU and UC. I think, like, that's a strong foundation. But in addition to that, I think that there's, all of our individual students are unique. And so having our school counselors and our teachers and our administrators continue to, like, build out, for instance, like CTE pathways, to continue to build out ways for students to, say, reach the state seal of biliteracy. I think that's, like, where that important individualization comes. And so it is about, yes, like, creating the system for students to achieve that, like, in multiple ways, because, we know and we're proud of, not serving just one type of student. So again, strong foundation, but again, providing access, like, through sort of the multitude of those indicators.
I would jump into, I think there's a knowledge gap, I think, at home with some of our parents who don't realize that it's just, I'm sending my child to school, they seem to have A through G coursework, but there is another level that they have to do on top of that to meet that criteria. And so often it's, that list of things that Mr. Liu had listed. So, it's just not a matter of what is on your course schedule for that semester. It's what is the other step or two steps that I need my child to take and push them at times as a parent who's got a high school student and two that are in college. Like, you've got to know how to push them and in what direction. And I think part of that is sometimes it's overwhelming when you as a parent are looking at this with your kids and they may not be as apt to want to engage in some of the other activities outside of their class, but somehow we have to get our parents to know how to push them in what direction, along with the help of our counselors on campus. But there's a knowledge gap there from our parents' perspective that we've got to get better at as well.
Well, it seems like part of the knowledge gap is it's pretty complicated, as you've laid out. Because I look at page 17, which is a breakdown of those students who are part of prepared. So it's not the entire universe of students, it's the, 60%. When I look at something like A through G completion, it was, I don't know, just under 88%. Does that mean they had A through G completion plus something else? Or is it just that one line item? I'm a little confused on page 17.
Yeah, and I'll jump to it. So this shows of the students who met or were prepared for the college career indicator, this is how those students met. So just to talk it out, like from last year's data, of all of the students that met this, that were prepared for the college career indicator, 87% of those students met it through the A through G.
Right, but you mentioned there were some other requirements in addition to that. So
Right.
Are we stripping that out separately, or?
So for A through G, for the college career indicator, this would be students who met, again, students who were prepared for college career indicator, and they met the A through G completion criteria, which is that they met all the requirements for CSU, UC, and they did one of the other criteria as well.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry, so that's all included in that 87%.
Right.
Because when I look at this chart, something that concerns me is our CTE pathways went from 10% of that population of students down to under 6%. So I'm wondering, is it fewer students are doing the pathway, or fewer students are doing the pathway plus something else that is needed? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yes, and that I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, I do see the difference that you're talking about. The other thing that is helpful for us that I didn't include is that actually the state data gives us information on how students met the prepared, and then there's actually like a secondary category for nearly prepared. And so what I can say to that is we'll go back and take a look to see, because oftentimes actually that data, which we've shared with our school sites, like that tells us like who and how students are getting close to prepared. And that data is actually probably, I don't say more fruitful, but very fruitful.
Thank you.
I think the other piece is I mean, we do have students who are not interested in getting through A through G completion. They are going down a path of electrician, carpenter, whatever, and their electives do not revolve around taking a foreign language. And so when you don't take your two years of foreign language, that will drop you out of the A through G completion. Also, we have kids who are military bound or other areas that they, don't feel the need to get through the A through G completion. They're taking other electives of interest so that they're learning that skill and that trade, or have that knowledge base going in, to a different pathway after. So it's not that, we're not in the business of forcing all of our kids to get in through A through G, because they have other interests once, they get through graduation.
Which is why I think it's great that the state has broadened this. I mean, they're looking at more than just A through G, because I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and from a community perspective, I don't think they understand that either. Sometimes community sees A through G completion rate at a certain percentage, and they're like, how is, CVUSD not having, a higher percentage? Well, the reason is we're not forcing everyone down that one particular academic pathway. We allow them to make their choice as they move through their 4 years of high school. And some just don't need some of the requirements that are embedded in A through G.
Great. Other comments or questions? Trustee Powell.
Sorry, can I ask one more question? It's the third grade reading. I appreciated that you showed us, of course, those district level benchmarks. And I know there's the 4 levels of, getting close to standards. I know grade 3 is kind of that, like, we want to know where kids are at in terms of their reading. Grade 3 is a really pivotal year. So are we sort of anticipating that all this work that's being done this last couple of years in science of reading, like we really anticipate we'll see those numbers continue to improve?
Yeah, so the current third grade students had second grade teachers that were trained on science of reading. So again, we haven't yet seen the results from those third grade students who have tested. And that's different to say I'm a student in CVUSD who's had teachers trained as a kindergarten student, first grade, second grade student, and for kindergarten, first and second. So I think over time, yeah, I mean, I think that we really anticipate seeing evidence of that. I mean, the feedback from our teachers and in the results, and really just when walking around anecdotally in classrooms, I mean, that has been, I would say, especially at the elementary level, like one of our like most effective trainings. And so a big kudos to the our staff that do that training.
I do think as you're out doing walkthroughs and you go into a classroom, I mean, especially from the beginning of the year till now, and Dr. Sellers could speak to this as she's out at the elementary more frequent than I am, but you definitely see that still learning to read going into third grade to now they're reading to learn. So they're working on comprehension, they're reading strategies to understand what it is that they're reading. So you do see that transfer taking place, and we know that as children move through third grade, if they're not at that reading to learn, they're going to struggle coming into intermediate grades, 4th, 5th, and then into middle school. So, you know, I do see that transitioning happening as I'm out from the beginning of the year till where we're at now, as especially with state testing coming up and things like that.
I'm also curious just if TK and having that become more universal, if that's going to have an impact somewhere down the road, or if we're seeing an impact in that already, because that's a fairly new endeavor. Not really a question, more like let's wait and see. So any other questions or comments? Ms. Goldberg.
Just a quick comment. I appreciate the presentation. I particularly appreciate all the work that goes into it, both on the student side and the teacher side and district. But what strikes me about this whole presentation is the overarching, what to me felt like a through line of what we focus on and target. We seriously see tremendous growth, or modest growth, but growth in general. So kudos to all of that, and particularly, like, I was really struck by the A through G rate, like, since we've had the A through G counselors, the fact that that completion rate, and it's not the only measure, and I think that it's great that it's not, but the fact that the more you know, the more opportunities open up. So thank you.
Yeah, just to remind the board, I think it was last year the NAEPS test came out and stated that I think CVUSD had got back to pre-COVID levels. So we know from our specific data that we bounced back much quicker than other districts, as there was very few that were on that list.
We also opened up first.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, again, thank you for that, Mr. Liu. We are now on item 5B. Sarah Phillips, who is the Director of Child Nutrition Services, will give us a presentation on Child Nutrition Services and its reorganization. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Kenny, for setting the expectation so high. I did not bring samples, so my apologies. I hope you all had a good dinner before tonight's meeting. Members of the board, executive cabinet, and audience, good evening. My name is Sarah Phillips. I am the Director of Child Nutrition here at CVUSD, and today I'm going to do a presentation just kind of recapping what Child Nutrition has been up to this past year. So about a year ago, around this time, Child Nutrition went through a bit of a restructuring where 2 assistant director positions were introduced to our department. I wanted to highlight some of the things that our assistant directors do to help support our department as a whole. Could we go back one? Thank you. So our assistant directors are tasked with menu planning. That includes our menus for preschool, for childcare, for elementary, middle, high school, breakfast, lunch, snack, supper. So there are a lot of menus to keep track of, a lot of meal patterns, and that's the responsibility of our assistant directors. They also assist with ensuring that our meal programs are in compliance with federal, state, and local standards, so that it's everything from meal pattern compliance down to sanitation at the county level when health inspectors come into our kitchen. That's something that they are cautious of and vigilant of when visiting sites. Our assistant directors help support with training employees, and that's onboarding new employees. At the beginning of the school year, we do all staff trainings. Our assistant directors assist with that, and just technical assistance and site support as we go through the year. If sites are facing challenges, assistant directors head out to the sites and work side by side with our team members, with our supervisors to improve efficiencies at the site and just provide the best service we can to our students. I'll go down the left side of my chart here first. This is kind of our elementary side. So our assistant director oversees our production supervisor, who oversees the central kitchen, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So our production supervisor is coordinating all of the ordering for all of our elementary schools. They also oversee 4 drivers in our central kitchen, which obviously their responsibility is to deliver and drive the food from site to site. And they also do provide support to the Extended Learning Opportunities Program, the ELOP program after school, with bagging those meals. Our assistant director that oversees elementary also oversees our Child Nutrition Assistant S, our satellite employees, which are our site leads. So at all of our elementary schools, they have a CNAS. Some also have a CNA1 to support with produce prep at the site. So our CNAS orders from our production supervisor at the central kitchen, and that's how food is served at elementary levels. And then going towards the left side of this organizational chart, our assistant director that oversees secondaries, which is middle and high schools, also does menu planning, compliance, and all of those kinds of things. They also directly oversee our middle and high school supervisors. Middle and high school supervisors, like the production supervisor, do the ordering and oversee all of the operations at the middle and high school level. We have CNA2s and CNA1s. CNA2s, I say, are kind of the supervisors of the kitchen. They help work alongside with CNA1s to just complete meal preparation and the execution of our meal service. So CNA2s are kind of more like cooks that coordinate the kitchen operations, and CNA1s help us execute our meal service. Next slide, please. So just recently, some new guidelines and legislation has been passed that affect child nutrition, so I wanted to highlight those to you all. Most recently, the dietary guidelines for Americans came out. They do come out every 5 years. School meal program meal patterns are based on the DGAs, but when the DGAs come out, they don't directly affect meal patterns. We haven't received updated meal patterns just yet. But from looking at the dietary guidelines for Americans, we can anticipate that meal patterns will change and have more of an emphasis on protein and whole foods, and a lesser emphasis on refined grains. So like I said, nothing has changed yet, but I do expect in the next year or two that our meal patterns will change. The Whole Milk, sorry, you can go back. The Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act of 2025 also passed. This only, for some reason, applies to the National School Lunch Program. We do administer 3 other programs, so this just applies to the lunch program. And it allows schools to offer 2% and whole fat flavored and non-flavored milk at school. This is optional, something we could opt into. Our milk producer does not currently offer cartons of whole and 2% flavored and white milk. So at this time, we're not opting into it. And just logistically, with it only applying to one of our meal programs, it's not something we are opting into at this point, but if it ever does become something we're interested in, we have the option to. Lastly, Protecting Children with Food Allergies Act also recently passed, which requires all child nutrition service employees to complete an annual training on food allergies. This is something that we already do, so we're already in compliance with this. So up to this point, from August to February this school year, we have served over 560,000 breakfasts, over 737,000 lunches, and over 68,000 after-school snacks. That's in 7 months with about 100 employees. So it's a pretty fantastic feat. I put a picture down here in the corner of back-to-school training that we did in partnership with the Chef Ann Foundation, where we were really going over foundational basic kitchen skills, such as knife skills, how to use a Roboku, and some food safety practices. Because when you're producing this volume of meals, it's really important that our staff are making efficient choices, safe choices, to be able to produce on the scale that we do. So that's something that's really important to me, that our staff feels capable to complete what we're asking. I always like to look at our meal participation rate. The kind of industry standard is that a third of students will eat breakfast at school and half of students will eat lunch at school. I'm a little competitive. I don't want to just meet the standards. I want to exceed them. So looking at our elementary breakfast served, we're at 36%, middle school 37%, high school 27%, giving us a district average of 33%, which I'm very excited about. Looking at lunch, elementary participation is around 48%, middle school is around 45%, and high school is sitting around 32%, giving us a district average of 42%. So I feel particularly that at the high school level, this is something we really can improve on. We are continuing to make changes to the menu and our a la carte offerings to hopefully entice high school students to, instead of going off campus when they have the opportunity, to swing by the cafeteria before they head off campus. So earlier this year, I was invited to the District Advisory Council, and after my presentation, some of the feedback that I got from the council members was, "That's great, seems like you're doing great things in child nutrition, but we don't know about them." So I fortunately was able to pick up the phone and called Kim Gold and said, "All right, we're doing all these great things, how can we get the word out?" And so every month we collaborate, and she comes and takes pictures of students selecting the harvest of the month in the cafeteria line. Just recently, in the last 2 months, if you've been on social media, you might have seen the Conejo Elementary students promoting Harvest of the Month in both English and Spanish. I think we need like a behind-the-scenes blooper reel because they're hilarious. And earlier this year, our friends at Sun Pacific came and visited Madronia and Acacia and did a cutie sampling. They brought stickers and coloring pages. I've never seen students eat more tangerines in my life. They were so excited. So it's just really exciting to engage with students, collaborate within the district, and bringing vendors in to show a little love to our students. Speaking of showing love to our students, one of my favorite things about my job is we get to host taste tests when we want to put new items on the menu. Vendors will come to me and say, "We have a birria pupusa that's really popular in Costco. We have a whole grain version. Do you want to try it?" Right on, why not? So earlier this year, we've sampled a birria pupusa, a California-raised grass-fed beef burger, sushi, dill pickle nuggets, yes, Omega O's cereal, which is a high-protein, high-fiber cereal, chicken wings, acai, and freshly baked cinnamon rolls. And I included some photos of our taste test. We always like to collect student feedback, immediate feedback from students. At the elementary level, that's generally with a check mark or with some stickers. Sometimes they want to keep the sticker, they don't want to vote with it, so we're learning with that. And at the middle and high school level, generally we do like a QR code or a tally to try and engage with students. We have been changing the menu periodically throughout the year. Some of the new items that I wanted to highlight for you all. At the elementary level on the breakfast menu, we added a pumpkin bread during the fall. And I can't remember which elementary school I was at, but I saw students coming through the line and they saw pumpkin bread and they were like, "This is like Starbucks. I get pumpkin bread at Starbucks." That's kind of what we're going for. We also introduced confetti waffles, which are very popular, the Omega O's cereal, and a chicken and waffles sandwich. On the lunch menu at the elementary level, we added chili and cornbread during the colder months, which I don't think we've really had any this year, but that was a hit. Spaghetti with meat sauce, a chicken Caesar salad that actually just debuted today, so results aren't in, but they looked pretty good. Taquitos with guacamole, and I prepared this presentation thinking that we were gonna have sushi, but we're having a little bit of a delay with our vendor, so we'll have sushi. For the middle and high school menus at breakfast, we introduced acai with granola, freshly baked cinnamon rolls, which taste as good as they smell. They really perfume the whole cafeteria. A concha, which is a Mexican sweetbread, and a sausage and cheese stuffed waffle. It's delicious. On the lunch menu, we added a chicken tikka masala as well as a chana masala, a vegetarian option, dumplings, a fish sandwich, penne alfredo, egg rolls, and an Asian chicken salad. Told you were gonna be hungry, sorry. What we do, feeding from a central kitchen and not having dishwashers in our kitchen, we unfortunately do have to utilize single-use plasticware and trays and such. With that kind of limiting factor, we try to make conscious efforts to choose sustainable packaging where we can. And so just earlier this year, in collaboration with a Westlake High School student, we tried a pulp fiber salad container. So it's kind of like made of natural materials, as well as a bamboo fork, knife, and spoon. So I'm eagerly awaiting the student feedback. And I believe that she polled students to see even if this is something that's important to them. Unfortunately, the sustainable paper goods are more expensive than plastic. So if this is something that's important to CVUSD students, that's something I want to take into consideration. Obviously, it has to make sense fiscally, but if there are certain choices that we can make that students would appreciate, that's absolutely something that's important to me. This picture here, you can see an example of produce being offered in paper boats at 11 of our elementary schools. This is something I'm really proud of, an effort led by our assistant director that oversees elementary to really reduce our plastic waste at schools. And anecdotally, I'm also seeing that this produce isn't ending up on the share tables. Students are eating with their eyes, and the produce looks so much better in these paper boats. It's cut that morning, and so students are really eating the produce that we're offering them. There are some occasions where students are required to take components of a meal that they don't want, and so we have share tables at all of our school sites. Some of our elementary schools are very creative with their share tables. And so we have purchased like a standard share table for all of our schools. Secondaries received them last year, and we just placed our order for our elementary share tables, and we're working in collaboration with John in printing to create kind of a vinyl to instruct students how to interact and use the share tables. So last spring, I got to come and talk to y'all about the school year that had passed and set some goals for the school year we're in now. So I wanted to touch base with you and share our progress. So first on my list was to improve the food quality. When I talked to students and teachers and just really members of the community, they commented on the quality of the food. So that's something that's very important to me. This year we have upgraded our chicken products from a chopped and formed to a made with whole muscle. And I'll kind of break that down a little bit. Chopped and formed, think McDonald's. I've never seen a boot-shaped chicken nugget except for when I'm at McDonald's because it's chopped and formed into that shape. Made with whole muscle is still consistent. We need consistency when working in our kitchen because students will look and see, well, that chicken tender looks bigger than that one, causes a slowdown in the line, on and on. So we use a chopped and formed, which has a more consistent shape, but is less processed. Another goal I set was to offer seasonal menus. On top of our entrees changing seasonally, for example, like the chili and cornbread and the pumpkin bread, we also have brought back Harvest of the Month. And I'm very proud to have partnered with 2 local food hubs that offer local, organic, sustainably grown produce. The harvest of the month this month is mandarins, next will be snap peas, and then in May and June will be strawberries. So every cafeteria has a sign with a little blurb about, the farmer or the produce, and we're purchasing it locally. Third was to reduce our environmental impact, which I've kind of touched on in previous slides, with elementaries producing produce on the site being offered in paper boats versus plastic, and trials of compostable packaging at the secondary level. We are also trialing sustainable packaging at the elementary level with our packaging machine materials as well. Next was to increase student involvement. I'm very grateful to have been invited to so many student groups to be able to get feedback from students, connect, and share what's going on in child nutrition. I've also had the opportunity to collaborate with many students in CVUSD to, we collaborated on a student survey that was then sent to all middle and high school principals to post for students to provide their feedback, and that included entree items, different cuisines they wanted to see in the cafeteria, and items they wanted to purchase, which was very helpful data. And lastly was to increase participation in all of our meal programs. I really wanted to highlight our elementary breakfast participation. In the last school year, it was hovering around 31%, and this year it's averaging about 36%. And when I was kind of shocked and excited by that change, I really looked and compared last year's menu to this. And something that was really important is that we offered elementary students a hot breakfast this year, not only because what we're able to offer with a hot breakfast generally has more protein and feeds students' brains and prepares them to learn, but I want a hot breakfast. So yeah, we're really proud of our elementary participation numbers, and we hope that, like I was saying earlier, we can find the secret in high school lunch and increase those numbers as well. Alrighty, so talking about budget and finances, child nutrition, due to a couple factors, is carrying a budget surplus currently. With universal meals being signed into California law during the pandemic, we saw, CVUSD in particular, saw a significant increase in the amount that we were receiving in reimbursement. Universal meals is an agreement basically that whatever portion of the reimbursable meal is not covered by the federal government, the state of California has agreed to reimburse us. So that has led to our fund balance excess currently, as well as those one-time grants during COVID. There were waivers for claiming meals and serving bulk meals. So due to a couple factors, here we are. We are on a spending plan with the CDE because we are a nonprofit. We have to comply with the net cash resource standards rules. So every year, it's a 5-year spending plan, and every year we agree with the CDE what our average monthly expenses are, what 6 months of average expenses are, what our previous fiscal year's ending balance is, and then that gives us what our total excess net cash resources are. So basically what we do is we provide a plan to the CDE saying, this is our excess, this is what we are planning to do to spend this down to be in compliance. So what are our plans to spend it down? Our goal is to invest, sorry, I can't read from that angle. Our goal is to invest in our students and staff to transform our cafeterias, expand our capabilities, and improve the overall experience. Requisition we have in place, we are waiting for the delivery of our new vehicles. We have purchased vehicles with lift gates. Currently, our drivers load by hand their vans, and some have to do a second run due to the capacity in their van. So not only will it be efficient for our department, it will also be a relief to our drivers so that they don't have to manually load. They'll have a lift gate, roll it right in, and then do the opposite to deliver. We are collaborating with planning to complete kitchen remodels. That includes the details from the floors and the lighting to the equipment, to things like drainage and ventilation and all of that fun stuff. Staff training, like I said earlier, is very important to me. There are a lot of professional chefs that specialize in K-12 and understand meal requirements, the volume that we produce meals on. So I'm hopeful in the coming year that we can enter an agreement with a K-12 chef to really do some intensive training with our staff to increase their capacity and their confidence cooking on a large scale rather than heating food and serving it. Upgrading equipment, there are these wonderful things called combi ovens that I say are kind of like smart ovens. You can turn them on, press a button that we've programmed to chicken nugget, and we don't have to think about it. It cooks with internal temperature. They're fabulous, so I'm hoping to make those kinds of equipment upgrades in many of our kitchens. Improving our student dining areas. We want students to feel invited to the cafeteria, so that is creating more comfortable spaces, spaces where students can share a meal with their peers. And of course, always higher quality foods. This year, like I said, we improved our chicken. Next year, we're looking at beef. So we're gonna switch to a new burger next year. Like I alluded to earlier, we are in a new central kitchen. This is also where our child nutrition offices are located. It's behind Conejo Elementary. That's a picture there of our beautiful combi ovens. The picture below, you can see our produce washer. And I don't believe they were in place at the time I took the photo, but we did move our packaging machines. So we have a tray wrapper and then an over wrapper machine. So we can speed scratch prepare entrees in our kitchen and then package them in-house to send out to our schools. So this new kitchen has not only improved our efficiency and our production volume, but it meets the current codes and standards. Our previous location at Park Oaks was grandfathered into things, but this new location meets all of the current standards. We have all electrical appliances with a backup generator, so in the event that we do lose power, we would still be able to provide meals to students. And it also has a walk-in refrigerator and freezer. So looking ahead, I set some goals with you all last year, and I would like to continue to set goals for child nutrition. First is to promote nutrition education in the cafeteria. As a registered dietitian myself, I think that we have a fantastic opportunity every day, twice a day, to make an impression on students, to educate them on what a complete meal looks like, what are the components of a complete meal, introduce them to new foods. We have such a great opportunity. To enhance the student dining experience, like I said, with kitchen remodels, with their dining, their seating kind of areas, and just overall the aesthetics of the cafeteria. A lot of our cafeterias are old, and they kind of give that vibe right now, so we're looking to modernize. And I would love to partner with the Ventura County Farm to School program. They often partner with CSUCI and have interns at VC Farm to School, where they will kind of deploy to districts and kind of partner them with the districts where they can do garden education, nutrition education, and really just help connect students to where their food comes from. And lastly, to maintain our fiscal sustainability, while we are making investments, capital investments in child nutrition, we want to make sustainable investments that we don't, in years down the line, have an opposite problem. So keeping a close eye on that. That's all for me. So if you all have any questions or comments, I would love to hear.
Thank you so much for coming back and presenting again. My observation is our students have more varied options in their breakfast and lunch choices than I do. So
yeah.
I don't know if it says more about me or them. Any questions, or I see Trustee Kearns.
Yes, thank you so much for this incredible presentation. I am very anxiously awaiting trying the sushi on Monday. More about that in my board comments later, but I'm very excited for that. So we'll see. First and foremost, I have definitely seen a lot more variation in the cafeteria. I feel like across the board, opinion on the cafeteria is rising in a positive way. Yeah, so I think you're doing an excellent job so far from my perspective. I really appreciate the lengths that you've gone to incorporate student feedback, visiting campuses nonstop, like doing all these taste tests, trying to come up with really engaging food items. I think the only thing really like holding it back, holding a lot of students back that I know, is just the wait times. It does get quite lengthy at the secondary level, especially. I think generally, like if I get lunch in the cafeteria, which is more and more often nowadays, I think usually like I clock it at like 15 to 20 minutes waiting, like from start to end, which is, with the new bell schedule, approximately half of our lunchtime. So, I do like the thought of like, grabbing my lunch and going off campus, that sort of thing. But it's just not really feasible because like by the time I get out of the parking lot, like I have to turn around and go back because the bell's about to ring. So, and I know efforts are being made to improve this with like the little grab and go station. So could you just touch on, what efforts are being made, what the future of wait times look like in the Child Nutrition Services Department?
Sure thing. So currently we have cards that we send out at most of our secondary schools. It kind of depends on what the wait time is through the main cafeteria line. Whether we're able to send out one cart or two really depends on our staffing, because obviously it takes a person to take the cart out. Yes, we are making efforts to improve the wait time. I think that our current way that our lines are set up is a little bit limiting because, for example, like you have T.O. High that only has one speed line versus Newbury where they don't have that built-in speed line. They've been able to create two lines and their line moves much faster. So we are in the early stages of redoing all of our speed lines, focusing really at our secondaries because that's where we have our high volume of students in a short amount of time. So we will continue to make efforts to send carts out and then down the line improve our speed lines for efficiency.
Definitely. Awesome. And then this is like more informational, but I think it's helpful for everyone to know. And I'm pretty sure it's still like this, but the menus are available like a month in advance, right? On the CVUSD website.
Yes, they are. Yep. And they have allergen information, carb counts, if students have diabetes. They have a lot of information.
Yeah, I would use to like triangulate when the nachos day was and like put it in my calendar. That was when I was younger, but a similar thing happens now, just less formal. It's just like, oh, it could be nachos day today. It's like Thursday. So anyway, but, and then, okay, this is actually the last one. As far as like the breakfast menu goes, is there like any sort of like seasonal variation with that as well?
There is. Is there a particular item you're looking for?
Well, I've just been noticing a deficiency perhaps in ham and Swiss croissants that have existed.
Those are a staple. Those aren't going anywhere.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I've just been getting unlucky.
Maybe.
On the days that I go.
Maybe. I think those have been on the menu all year.
Okay. That's valid. Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Gorback.
Sarah, I just want to thank you for that intensive report. But more importantly, I want to thank you for what you're doing for the food services. You're seeing it, you're making the super effort to see it from the student's point of view and what they would like, and getting feedback and making it comprehensive, as well as from the financial and all the other things from the executive point of view. But the fact that you're catering to the student point of view is great. I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Trustee Goldberg.
I just want to say it's very clear that you're getting students excited about food opportunities in our cafeterias. So thank you very much for that, because it's not easy to do.
Thank you. I do have to give a shout out right back to Finn and Miss Judd, because when I went to the SDAC meeting, there was kind of that call to action to the SDAC members, like, okay, you are your representative at your school. Go back to your school, grab your friend, head to the lunch line. So big thank you to you all.
Trustee Powell.
Ditto to all that's been said. Thank you for this great presentation. I just really appreciate the intentionality in which these changes are being made. And yes, being more appealing to students, but I think more importantly, doing what you can to promote healthy food as well. And that education, that nutrition education piece is so important when we think about those habits that are made early on that will affect them for the rest of their lives. So really appreciate that work.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Trustee
Sushi
Gorbach.
too. All those veggies.
I just want to say, you know, as a general hint, we're in the middle of planning 2 breakfast meetings.
I know where I can find some croissants, I'm just saying.
Ham and Swiss.
Or cinnamon rolls.
I just have a quick question, because the one thing that did strike me is, as compared to other conversations we've had, is your spend down plan. Like, we have money and now we get to spend it, which is great. It's a great problem to have. What is the time frame approximately for some of these things that you've discussed?
Sure. So our agreement with the CDE goes through the next school year. The trouble kind of we run into is the cafeteria fund being a restricted fund. We do have strict rules on what we can spend our money on. So I'll give an example of like the kitchen remodels. It's clearly stated on the CDE website, the equipment, the floors, the lighting, the walls in pretty much is cafeteria fund approved, but anything like plumbing or sometimes electrical is a bit of a gray area. So we're working very closely with planning to come up with a strategic plan, a specific plan for sites, so that I could go to the CDE and kind of make my argument saying, we have this budget surplus, we have these plans, this is how it would impact students and their experience with the nutrition program. So we definitely have a plan in the works, a specific plan, but there are some hurdles that are slowing things down. Our goal and our agreement with the CDE is to spend down our surplus by the end of next school year.
Great, that was the final thing, the answer.
We did just put out to all the schools that we're going to look to buy new cafeteria tables for the students. So we put it out to all the principals asking who was interested, and almost everyone just replied yes. So we're working on those two. That's an example of what we can spend money on. It's student related, and you know, if it's replacing some of the tables that are, you know, quite old, and you know, some schools just want to change for the colors and make sure it's like school colors, and some want to go to round tables for the social aspect. So we're gonna give them that flexibility, and we just put that out a couple of days ago. That's one
great.
example, though.
Yeah, that's part of enhancing the experience. That's great. All right, any other questions or comments? Again, I appreciate you coming and sharing, and we look forward to maybe in a year another report. Thank you. All right, with that said, we are now on item 5C, which is a discussion, we're going to vote on it at the next meeting, of the Child Nutrition Services school lunch meal and a la carte pricing, which is up on the board. Dr. Hayek.
So this is every year. A number of years ago, we started the annual review of the fees that we charge on child nutrition, transportation, and facility use. This is the first one for review tonight. We're showing the 25-26 charges to students, and then the 26-27. There's not too many increases. We are seeing some increases in certain areas, but you'll see the change year over year of what we're going to charge next year for student. This is mostly this is the a la carte pricing.
You're selling yourself short, Dr. Hayek. There's a couple decreases.
The secondary second meal.
And the ones that are NA those are things that weren't good sellers, so they're just not being offered next year.
Yeah, I think what they're alluding to is in the first column under the adult and second student meals. It looks like breakfast is going from $4 to $3.50, lunch from $5.50 to $5. So that's actually a decrease.
Yeah.
Okay, it's good. It's good. Trustee Goldberg.
I was just going to say, and there, in addition to that, there's an addition of a churro, which I think will probably be a big hit.
All right, any other questions or comments on this? All right. Anything else, Dr. Hayek?
No.
All right, seeing this, we're gonna move on to 5D, which, as you previewed slightly, is looking at our transportation fees.
So for
Do we have a public comment? 5A, not quite yet. All right, Dr. Hayek.
similar to other fees, we do run busing services for students, and looking next year, we're seeing substantial increases, obviously, in fuel and maintenance costs for buses. We don't really make any money on this. We're projected to collect about $17,000 next year, but we're looking at a 10% fee increase.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this?
Was that similar to what the increase was in the prior year?
Yes.
Thanks.
Most of the students who ride, we put the numbers in the agenda items, most of the students who ride don't pay.
Okay, any other questions or comments on that? Okay, we are now at 5E, where I understand we have a public comment. Thank you. Stephen or Stefan Eknatich, I am sorry. Sure, yes, you have 3 minutes, thank you.
Hello, my name is Stephen Ignatchik. I'm a board member of the nonprofit, the Conejo Youth Flag Football Association. I'm here to pose an increase to the facility use fees. We currently use the fields at Redwood. Any increase in the fees may lead to higher registration costs, will disproportionately affect homeless and low-income children. Youth sports are for children from all family backgrounds, and they're not just for children from affluent families. With the deteriorating labor markets and increased cost of gas, I've noticed low and middle class families struggling to participate in even the most basic youth sports. I've noticed more and more that families who normally would participate in sports are not. And I've noticed this from families who have experienced job loss. And some of these people are, both parents work, and they live a middle-class lifestyle, or were living one. I would appreciate you reducing the fees to prepare for the likely economic recession that is coming. That is all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Hayek.
A number of years ago, we recalibrated fees to put them more in line to what we're expecting on maintaining and replenishing, replacing our facilities. They are heavily used across all school sites. Ever since then, probably the last 4 or 5 years, we've just been increasing fees based on the cost of living adjustment. That's similar to our funding that we get, even though that our cost of living adjustment in our funding isn't really representative of the actual percent because of the enrollment changes year over year. But we've limited the increases on facility use for next year to 2.41% increase, and we just round them up just to the 25, 50, 75, and $1. We do take all the revenue from facility use and put it in deferred maintenance, and it goes right back into facilities.
So just a quick, I don't know if it's a history lesson, but several years ago when this first came to the board, we had asked an outside firm to look at our current level of pricing, which was all over the map and varied by different youth group, and there were handshake deals, and we knew we needed to have some consistency, and we also needed an understanding of how other districts, other comparative fields and parks and recs were pricing their field. So at the time, the board said, all right, we need to increase our fees over, I think it was a 4-year period. We were gonna do a percentage each year. And it was a pretty significant hike because I hadn't looked at it for a while. The community outcry was fairly immediate. And we actually met again and decided to roll back that and to slow down the rate of increase. Shortly after that, we also decided to not increase prices at all, other than this very small COLA increase that Dr. Hayek was alluding to. So I am fairly confident that what we have in place and what has been in place for many years is fair. I do understand the economic realities that go on, and but I don't see where what we're doing would really have that much of an impact, because again, it's pretty minimal. But that's just one perspective. Other comments? Several of us were there during that time, and we spent quite a bit of time going through this analysis. Okay. Any other questions or comments on this?
The other part of this, when we bring the fees forward, also the rules and regulations, there are no proposed changes for next year. So we just propose to leave them as is. And just for information, our portal for outside user group reservations works on a 6-month window. We open May 15th for July 1 through December 31st, and then November 15th for January 1 to June 30th. That gives our schools opportunity to input their uses, and then it's open to the outside user groups, and we use an online reservation system.
Okay, thank you. Other questions or comments on this? Okay, again, this is a discussion. We're not voting on anything tonight. Moving along to item 5F, which is discussion of Administrative Regulation 3440 inventories. Dr. Hayek.
It's just some basic updates to law changes regarding how we calculate inventories.
Okay, any questions, comments, changes?
I just had a really basic question. So I know this was a policy, board policy that has been edited since 2008. So, but these changes don't significantly impact or change how we've been doing things?
No, typically when we inventory, this is just how it's stated on our audit. And then so we track them throughout the year, when inventory comes in and out. And you see the opposite side of this, when we purchase stuff, it's tagged and inventoried. But when you see on an agenda item disposal of obsolete equipment, so we take them out of inventory. So it's just the classifications on how we manage that inventory and the required information that has to be input. If it has serial number, you have to put the serial number, the model name. It's really basically asking for more descriptors as to the type of inventory that we're logging. And then there's a piece about anything purchased with federal or grant dollars, about tracking those separately, and we already do that.
Okay, other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, we're now on item 5G, discussion of board policy and administrative regulation 5144.1, which is suspension and expulsion. Mr. Liu.
Yes, updates to the board policy and administrative regulation reflect updates to new California law and are mirrored to the California School Boards Association gamut language. Just to talk through some of the updates in the board policy, there's a specific update to add that off-campus student behavior may result in discipline when it materially disrupts school programs and activities. Additionally, throughout the board policy and the administrative regulation, there are additional protections provided to foster students as well as Indian or Native American students as well. In the administrative regulation, it's updated to, for instance, add that required states that students who perhaps voluntarily disclose their use of controlled substance use or alcohol, seeking in an effort to seek support or services would not be able to be suspended solely for that disclosure. Additionally, as the updates in the AR now do allow, we will utilize an impartial administrative panel composed of 3 or more certificated personnel to conduct an expulsion hearing in the case that there is a recommendation for an expulsion. That impartial panel would proceed with the hearing to determine whether or not to move forward with a recommendation for expulsion to the Board of Education. Those findings and recommendation would be then presented to the board for their final determination on expulsion, as the Board of Education is the only authority, has the only authority to expel students.
And prior to that, it went directly to the board, correct? prior to having a panel?
Yeah, based off our policy. And so there's a new allowance in the administrative regulation that, again, allows this impartial administrative panel to conduct the hearing, but again, ultimately, the authority is to the board to make the decision.
Okay. So any comments or thoughts, particularly on the panel or any part of this policy or AR? I don't see any. I personally am in favor of having a panel and having people a little bit closer and trained in admin to assess what's going on and make a recommendation. Trustee Goldberg?
I was to say, when I was reading through it, I appreciated that level also. And also noted that social media was, use was included, which I thought was interesting. And also appreciated, should probably be highlighted so our students are aware.
All right. Moving along, we're at 5H, which is discussion of Administrative Regulation 5144.2, which is suspension and expulsion and due process for students with disabilities. Mr. Liu.
These are just the corresponding updates for the separate administrative regulation for suspension, expulsion, or due process for students with disabilities. Students with disabilities, per state and federal law, have additional protections that are afforded to them, and these just reflect the gamut updates to those specific protections for those students.
Okay, thank you. Any, Trustee Powell?
So on this one, this was one that we'd never really edited, I think, before. Like, I think we just did like a global adoption in 2008. Is that correct? So I was just wondering, like, since it's been so long since we've like really actually taken it on and added to it. I mean, is this going to be changing steps taken at school sites or processes or procedures that?
Yeah, to the question of will this change anything? No. No, it really just, I think, gets updated to what the existing law is, and there's nothing substantial in here that changes those protections for our students with disabilities.
And I guess, I'm trying to think how to ask this question. So when I first read the 5144.1, I mean, it talks about sort of the various infractions that could warrant suspension or expulsion, and there's some verbiage in there that included, this includes students with disabilities. But then when we go to 5144.2, which is specific to students with disabilities, it does make clear that there are some exceptions. And so I guess, and I could have totally not like read it like deeply enough or, slowly enough, but I guess I wondered if we do enough in 5144.1 to kind of clarify that, or maybe it doesn't matter, but I mean, obviously these two are linked, right? That AR for the students with disabilities.
They are linked. 5144.2 clarifies again, and I'll maybe more specify. So if a student with a disability is being recommended for expulsion, a manifestation determination meeting must be held. And that manifestation determination meeting is done by the IEP team in a timely manner to determine if the behavior which is expellable or may result in a change of placement of the student, if that behavior was a function of that student's disability, as well as whether or not the current IEP is being fully implemented. If the answer is if the answer is that potentially it was a function of the student's disability or that the IEP was not being fully implemented, then we would not be able to proceed with a recommendation for expulsion. So it doesn't change the behavior criterias as to whether a special education or general education student can be expelled. Those remain the same. The additional protection in this case as described is that additional manifestation determination meeting.
Did that clarify?
We're not voting on anything today, so I have time to ask more questions. But that was helpful. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments on this board policy or AR? All right, seeing none, we will move to 5I, which are board committee reports. Does anybody have, in the past 2 weeks, a board committee report to report? Trustee Powell.
I'll keep it short, but I sit on the Health Benefits Committee and just wanted to share that. We had a meeting yesterday, and that it's just a great opportunity to understand how a self-funded district, a district that self-funds its insurance plans works. Just looking at all the different criteria involved. We're now looking ahead to next year and deciding on a contract for next year and how that will all work. Just looking at the numbers. It's just, believe it or not, actually very interesting. So I appreciate Dr. Hayek and all the folks involved in that process. So thanks.
I have a really brief committee report. The Coalition for Youth and Family, which again is a joint entity comprised of a representative from CRPD, CVUSD, which is me, as well as the TO City Council. They had their resource event or fair on March 10th at 2 p.m. I would say we had a significant number of community partners and providers, such as Adelante and many mansions, who set up a table. We also had 2 of our SRO officers speaking about youth issues and crime in the community, a lot of time spent on e-bike offenses. I would say there's been no real significant nor new issues or upticks in crime among our youth that were reported. The only comment I would make is there's probably needs to be a little debriefing on attendance from other than the actual providers. I guess previously this was held in the morning. At this time it was held at 2, so it's, I guess, up for discussion as to what would be the best timing so that all of the interested parties can attend. Anybody else? Trustee Kearns.
The public may be interested in a recent alteration to committee assignments that was made.
Oh, can I announce it? Trustee
yes, please.
Kearns? Yes. Yes, thank you. I actually was going to. So Trustee Kearns has stepped up and volunteered to join the Technology Committee, which I understand is now going to be meeting twice a month, so enjoy that. So I think having a student on there, especially one with your voice, Trustee Kearns, will be really important. So thank you for, we already have, adding a second
there are
student.
students, yeah. So I will be
Okay.
joining some incredible SDAC representatives on that committee. So I look forward to twice a month having the time of my life.
Yes, yes. Thank you for mentioning that. Thank you. All right, if there are no other committee reports, it is time for comments from the Board of Education, leading off with Trustee Kearns.
Awesome. So we will be having our SDAC meeting next Monday, the 23rd, just a few days here. And this is a very special meeting. It is our first ever, maybe annual, we'll see next chairperson, but SDAC Civic Engagement panel. So we're going to be having representatives from all the different local government agencies here, including our own school board, participate in a panel. I'm not sure quite how we're going to arrange the room just yet, but we're figuring it out. We have an idea, so I'm gonna give it a shot now before we start on Monday, and we'll see if it works. But yeah, so I think we've planned it to be a really incredible event where we have city council members. I'll just read off the list of people who are coming. Astrid Roscoe, representing the CRPD Board of Directors. Michelle Ascension, Ventura County Clerk Recorder. C. Ty Gutierrez, Thousand Oaks City Council. Bob Engler, City Council. David Newman, City Council. Dr. Lisa Evans-Powell, CVUSD School Board. Trustee Karen Sylvester, CVUSD School Board. Trustee Lauren Gill, CVUSD School Board. And then Trustee Cindy Goldberg, CVUSD School Board. That is our current list of attendees. And so we're really excited. Student DAC members are going to have an opportunity to ask questions that Mrs. Judd and I reviewed, and we'll also come up with some questions to lead us into that conversation. The main goal of this panel is so that student DAC representatives feel prepared to go into the community and amplify their impact and amplify their voice, which hopefully will be effective, and learn from people who have already been participated and have in fact achieved one of the highest levels of participation in our civic system that is possible, and hear how they got there, why they got there, and what they've been able to do, and so that potentially student DAC representatives can be maybe inspired to follow their footsteps. So, oh my gosh, yes. Oh, excuse me. Something also very special about that meeting, we will be taste testing cafeteria sushi. So yeah, just so our panel and any members and any people in attendance in the audience will also be able to taste test these items. I think we're having a variety of different sushi types, 2 different sushi types, as is being gesticulated to me. And so I'm very excited to see what that looks like. And the lead-off question for any of our local elected officials that may be in attendance that are watching tonight, sneak peek, our lead-off question will be, what did you think of the sushi? So you'll have to answer that live. Yeah, and then we'll also have a little survey for mostly students, but if you really want to get your answer in there, we can accommodate that. But okay, yeah, so thank you, Ms. Phillips, for once again providing an excellent opportunity, and probably the main reason why most of these people signed up to do this little event here is because of the food, so thank you again. Okay, moving on, final portion of this comment here. College applications are going to be over in a week, so probably a lot of anxiety. I know I'm certainly experiencing a lot of anxiety. I know it is amplified across the board. Just my little spiel, my little take on the whole college admissions process, if anyone was wondering. Your admissions decisions will feel very random. I know they've certainly felt random for me. They feel random, like everyone, that's just a common experience. Like they feel random. And you have to look at it just from a numbers perspective. Most of these universities that are people like, oh, I really hope I get in, like they're literally balancing spreadsheets with like potentially hundreds of thousands of applicants for some. I know a lot of our UCs have over 100,000 applicants, and they don't have that many spots in the class, especially with yield rates being quite low. They just don't have that many spots in the class. So even if you just put it from a numbers game, like they can't accept everyone with a 4.0. They can't accept everyone with a 1600 SAT score. They just can't. They have more applicants than they have spots. So whatever decisions may come of the next week and a half, it definitely does not represent who you are as a person, and it definitely will not represent your trajectory going forward. That is something literally everyone has told me, whether they got into every single Ivy League school, didn't get into any of them. That is something they have told me, is that your admissions decisions do not matter in the life course, like in your life's trajectory. Yeah, can it make certain things easier? Maybe, but it really matters about like who you are as a person, and that's not to be like a sore loser if you don't get in. That's just the reality, is that someone who's dedicated to their craft and who takes advantage of networking opportunities will always be more successful at any school they go to than someone who doesn't. So that's just my 2 cents there. But good luck to anyone regardless. And if you do get into an excellent school, it's an excellent accomplishment, and you should absolutely be excited about that and celebrate that. So that's all for tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for that, Trustee Kearns. And to be clear, we were not told about the sushi when we all agreed to do the panel. So that is just an added benefit, so thank you. Turning now to Trustee Gorbach.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank Mrs. Warner, who brought the K-Kids. That was so cute. So thank you for that, if she's listening. Also, the second favorite part of the meeting was the reporters opening their windows to what's going on campus. So thank you for those. This is Women's History Month. And again, I say, as I say all the time, this is not the beginning of celebration. This is just the kickoff. It's not like a 1-month limited time celebration of women leaders. It may be the kickoff. It's an educational opportunity, but it goes on and on to celebrate and welcome our women leaders and recognize. I want to congratulate Los Cerritos Middle School for the award they just got. So congratulations to the Los Cerritos community. That means students, first of all, teachers, parents, administration, congratulations. This is Disability Awareness Month. Last week, I went to the Unified game at Newberry. This week, I'm going to the this Friday, I'm going to the Unified game. If you ever want to see pure exaltation, joy, just a wonderful experience of watching these kids play basketball and accomplish, and just the joy of doing what they do and loving it and being cheered by the rest of the student body of whatever particular school. I suggest going to TO at 10 o'clock? 10 o'clock, 10:50? 10:50, and seeing these games. And besides that, ESPN is covering this one because TO is getting a banner. So with that, thank you very much. Have a great break. Those who are celebrating holidays, celebrate holidays. Passover, Easter, the first day of baseball season. Enjoy and come back safe and cool.
Thank you, Trustee Gorbach. Trustee Goldberg.
Cool. I'd like to thank all of the amazing people who work at our schools and keep them cool during this unseasonable heat wave. Listening to all of our student reporters makes me think about how busy everyone is and how tired everyone is. And I know everybody's looking forward to spring break. But what I'm most excited about is after spring break, we enter visual and performing arts season. So please, if you haven't yet taken advantage of the amazing performance opportunities at all of our secondary school sites and also the All District Music Festival, please mark your calendars. It's coming up and it's definitely worthwhile. That's really it for me because the hour is late. I know. We have comments.
Thank you, Trustee Goldberg. Moving on to Trustee Gill.
Thank you. Nothing else from me tonight.
Trustee Powell.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you to our student reporters for keeping us up to date on all the high school happenings, and thank you to the K-Kids and Christy Warner for being here. Bear with me. I wanted to focus my comments tonight around Disability History Month, first and foremost because the disability community and history are important to acknowledge and celebrate. While Nationally Disability History Month is celebrated in October, CVUSD in recent years chose to recognize it and celebrate it in the month of March, largely because there's fewer competing events and topics in the month of March. And I do hope that schools are taking the opportunity to learn and share in this area. The Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, was signed into law in July of 1990, and upon signing, President H.W. Bush said that the ADA would ensure that people with disabilities had, quote, the opportunity to blend fully and equally into the rich mosaic of the American mainstream, end quote. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act was a reauthorization in 1990 also of the EHA enacted by Congress in 1975 and guarantees specialized education services for eligible students. In 1970, which doesn't seem that long ago to certain people of a certain age, United States schools were educating only 1 in 5 children with disabilities. Recently, the current United States president said it was his stance that a president should not have learning disabilities. He also incorrectly correlated learning disabilities, and specifically dyslexia, with intelligence. To any person, young or old, who has any sort of learning disability or who is neurodivergent in any way, I just want to take the opportunity to remind you that you are special, you matter, and you are valued. And I really appreciate all the brilliant and eloquent folks, many of them with disabilities themselves, who have gone onto social media and other places to denounce the hurtful and factually inaccurate statements that were made. This week is Neurodiversity Celebration Week, and I encourage you to check out the resources that are out there. Neurodiversity is the concept that difference in human brain development and functioning are natural variations and not deficits. It encompasses rather than pathologizes conditions such as autism, ADHD, and dyslexia. They are viewed as unique cognitive styles with associated strengths and challenges. The reality is, we all have unique brains. We all have different ways of learning, of processing, of absorbing information, of hearing and interpreting information. And I want to work toward a world where we judge less and embrace the diversity of our brains. So rather than dismissing someone because they don't process information in the same way that we do, let's be more empathetic, kind, patient, and curious, and see our neurodiverse population, students and otherwise, as a rich mosaic to celebrate. This Saturday from 11 to 3 is the Conejo Valley Disabilities Fair at the Oaks Mall. Free entry, music, food, vendors. Go check it out. That's it from me. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Powell. Thank you, Trustee Powell. Timely, considering the K-Kids book that they tossed around was about being unique. That is really it for me as well, so I'm going to turn it over to Dr. McLaughlin.
No comments this evening. Thank you.
All right, we have now advanced to Section 6, which is adjournment. So we're at 6A, future board topics. Are there any topics any board members want to add to the list? Okay, we still have a pretty good list going, and I'm looking forward to some of the discussions that will be coming up. Seeing no other agenda items, the meeting is adjourned at 8:36 p.m. Good night and have a wonderful spring break.